Hey everyone, this is your host Prajot Mainkar. Welcome to another episode of the Growth Marketplace. In this episode, we are going to talk about three simple habits that you can take up during this corona outbreak. Now that all of us are stuck at home, and something that will come close to your heart, and you can improvise and, of course, learn when you come out of the corona, you can very well experiment with it. How many of y'all have actually got the habit of something new in this corona outbreak? A lot of people WhatsApp me saying that they have learned cooking, some new dishes. Of course, a lot of them have tried landscape gardening as well. More to that, a lot of people have been sending me pictures of the terrace gardening and a lot of other things. I'm sure that you would have some of the exciting stuff to talk about. In this video, I'm going to talk about three simple habits that you can take up into your mindset, and of course continue thereafter as well. But before we proceed, I would highly recommend subscribing, share, and of course talk about this growth marketplace with your friends as well. Let's grow together. Well, now coming back to the first point, how many of you all have a habit of reading books? Well, any kind of genre, right? So you might have certain specific or kind of genres that you might be reading through. How about taking that habit more deeper? For those who want to make it very simple, just read one chapter a day. Find out a slot out of those 24 hours cycle. Find out one time where you can peacefully sit, read books, a chapter a day. That's the principle I tell most of the people I meet across. Don't complicate reading this book, say, oh, I need to finish this book entirely. Don't get into that kind of a glamour mode. I have successfully able to read more than 50 books following the simple principle of a chapter a day. Read a chapter a day of whatever books you want. Check out some of the bestsellers. Go out once the lockdown, of course, stops. You can actually go out on the bookstall and check out and explore the books as well. See which books you like and pick it up. And simple one chapter a day, whenever you find time. Ideal time, of course, I prefer of not being too digital, so I prefer it reading just before the bedtime, and spend time in reading it. The second habit. How many of you all have habit of writing journals? I think that's one of the beautiful thing that I've learned over so many years. I mean, I've been practicing this for so many years now as well, and I can't tell this to many people. Write journals. In the previous episode, you must have seen me talking about journal a lot, and I think plays important role. Simple things you could start up writing into your journal. Take a notepad, take a digital pad, whichever you're convenient with, and write three simple things. What made you happy particular day. Talk about what some of the happiest moments of your life on that particular day. Second, whom did you help? If you had some exciting stuff to talk about, if you have helped someone in probably help him or her to come out of a particular problem, made someone happy, write about it. And third is, how did you feel that day to be overall judged? Like, for example, were you closer to your goal? If yes, then write what made you so special about that particular day. So write about these three particular points. It really make you happy, and blog about it as well. I think a lot of time people have great creative minds, but they fail to actually go out and write about it. Write it, share it with public. I think there are so many tools available, ready tools available. I'm going to make another video which talks about the tools. But write journals. I think that's one of the most fabulous things about it. Imagine 30 years down the line, and you will have all the creative stuff put up on those pages you have written many years back then. So it'll be excited. Someone else will able to read through the stories and kind correlate. Why do we write stories? The reason why we write stories is for someone to help, to someone to get motivated, to someone to understand what you have gone through as well. They might start correlating to it and might even improvise themselves. You never know which person you help on which specific date. So be kind, if not to yourself, to someone else who might be really inspired by you. Every person, and I repeat this number of times as well, every person tends to inspire someone else. There is always a give and take relationship that happens with human being. We always tend to learn from every person who we meet across. You go to a market, you go to a supermarket, you go to a movie theater, you will find people who you can always borrow good qualities on. And I always say this, the goodness is always rubbing. You always tend to get the feeling of goodness when you have good people around you, the circle of positivity. And we have already seen that particular episode. In case you haven't checked out circle of positivity, I highly recommend you to go and check out what the circle of positivity is. Of course, the first part I talked about is start reading books. If you haven't, one chapter a day, simple principle. Second, start journaling. Write the tasks that you feel made you happy. Of course, pen down all your stories. If not, just go out online and make a public display of the things that has happened. It's really cool. Talk to the world. I think it's just unbelievable. Third, I think it is very important, and that also comes with a professional life. Meet one person a day. I think that's important. Meet a new person a day. Correlates to the second point I mentioned. You always tend to meet some exciting people around the world. Talk to them. If you have never spoken to a friend who is probably never crossed your path from last 5 6 years, why don't you just dial him up? I mean, call. Don't be too digital oriented. A lot of time we don't tend to meet person in person in people. I think right now we see that situation that due to lockdown we have started calling people, but I think it is very important for us to understand meeting people is one of the most fabulous thing. Too much of digitalization has happened. Yes, I agree to that fact, but sometimes we have found us disconnected from the physical world. So meet people once the lockdown is out, but at the same time, now that we don't have any option, try to connect with people, new people, in the state, out of the country. Meet some new exciting people and talk to them. I mean, there are some lot of stories which you can really gather from. So I hope such activities would keep inspiring you. There is no end to the inspiration. You see, health and the knowledge particularly keeps improving. I think more you prosper time into this, I think there is huge scope that every person can improve in a long way. So three simple things, as I mentioned. Try exploring this out. If you have got some exciting habits to talk about, please share it with me. I'll be more than happy to talk about your so-called exciting stuff that you have done during this lockdown. And of course, share this episode with as many people as you can, so that we help them to get used to these three uh, you know activities they can very well experiment with. And of course, share, like, and of course, if you have any other suggestions, please leave them onto the comments, so that we can try to see how we can improve this particular videos in coming episodes. So thank you so much for listening, and this is your host Prajot Mainkar signing off.